Hey guys, I'm back. Look, this is my review for Power Book 2. This is season 3, episode 6, The Land of Lies. Look, the pacing of this story, I'm gonna say it again, is going well. We're not dragging out a lot of storylines. We are moving at a pretty fast pace. They're like cleaning up one storyline, moving on to the next storyline. So in this episode, which is called The Land of Lies, which, this is where Tariq is or will confront Effie, Kane, Effie, as well as Braden as it pertains to Lauren. He's like, okay, you guys have lied to me. I thought this woman was dead. Now he's not telling them that she's alive, but he's letting it be known, like, hey, there's an investigation going on and I'm at the center of it. So I'm gonna need to find out what exactly went down. So Tariq, I felt, had to get humbled. I think Tariq is beginning, he's more and more, he's starting to realize, I think he's starting to realize how much he is like his father. I think he's also starting to realize that there was a specific reason why Ghost didn't want a part of the game. Now he's in too deep. He can't, it's not a situation where he can get up and leave. Even though he tried he's in too deep. And he's going to have to make some other, like he said in this episode, he's got to get from under Norma's rule, because he's too far into this situation where the expectations are all four of them, Effie, Kane, Braden, and Tariq are part of, they're like one unit and they're working for Norma. And, that's the expectation at all times. So unless one of them gets killed, but, Tariq is like, okay, I'm going to have to do something different. I'm living a lie. Okay. He's talked to his grandmother at the gravesite. He was, talking to his, his sister, and he was like, I don't know who to trust. And you are in a world of drug dealing, Tariq. There is no way you cannot realize that you can't trust anybody. You're in a world of lies and manipulation and strategy, someone trying to get the one up on the next person, someone trying to be the number one distributor, someone trying to be the number one dealer, all that stuff. You're in a world full of lies and conniving and all that kind of stuff. So I don't know why you thought that you could trust someone. I think he wants that family life. Kind of reminded me a little bit about Tommy. He wants the family, but it's there are going to be times, even with family, that you're just not going to provide them with the truth. And his grandmother told him, she said, when she asked him, what happened to your father? He was like, I don't know. I guess karma caught up with him. And she was like, see, there you go again. So it was clear that the grandmother, Estelle, knew that Tariq killed his father. But Tariq gonna sit there and lie. And she was like, see, you're living lie after lie after lie. And that karma gonna come back on you because you're still living a lie. So Tariq thought that he can just get out the game. He was like, you know what? You're right. It's time for me to get out. And we're going to go away, blah, blah, blah. He really thought he was going to get out the game. And that didn't work out in his favor. I don't know how he thought it didn't work out. He's constantly being watched. And sure enough, Obi scooped him up and was like, where did you think you were going? We got word on the curb is you trying to leave the country. He was, Obi was letting it be known. He's like, look here, dude, I don't know what you thought you could do, but let me tell you once again, you four need to be at the next meetup. You need to have all of the money. You can't be short, or consequences will be made. So, Tariq had to let Estelle know that I can't meet up with you. I can't go away with you. I got to get myself together. I done dug a hole and I got to get out of this hole. But I've made arrangements for you to go and be with Yaz and Tasha, because it's dangerous for you to be out here by yourself, because if I don't come through on something, they're coming after you. So, and she was upset, but I'm certain that the grandmother understood, like, Tariq is I don't think she understands to the level that Tariq is in the situation, but she knows it's not looking good for Tariq. Tariq's in trouble, major trouble. And when Tariq finally did talk to Braden about, look, we having our differences, and I'm gonna get back to that situation, but we're gonna have to figure out a way to get from under Norma because we're in a bad situation. So I'm gonna leave Tariq alone for the moment, and we're gonna get back to Tejada family. Now, at the very beginning, we see Monet is identifying Lorenzo's body, and she's showing like no emotion. Monet's emotions only show she's only angry. She very seldom smiles, and she just has this very monotone expression about herself. And she's there at the morgue, and she identifies Lorenzo. You see Blanca there, and you see other cops there, and then she's telling all the kids. You can see she's calling them at different things. I'm sorry. Kane is at a poker game, and she called him, let him know what happened, and that Lorenzo's dead. And she called Drew. Drew was at the house drawing, and then she called Diana, who was in bed with the TA for her political science class or whatever. They in bed, and she finds out. I think a lot of people were expecting Diana to show more emotion than she did. And because we know that Diana felt like Poppy could do no wrong. And the way that she expressed herself didn't lend itself to a person who was as upset as you would expect. And granted, we know people deal with grief differently, but it just seemed to be like I think she's more in this, like in the stage of I'm trying to get some clarity as to why this happened, what's going on. I need details. Same thing with, Drew was very expressive. And he even said, look, I believe the Russians did this. And when Monet asked Drew, did he get that information from Gordo? I felt like, girl, you telling on yourself. Like, why would Gordo tell Drew that the Russians did this? Like, I don't even understand. Like, but we see in the upcoming episode where Monet was like, okay, Gordo, you got to stop, hanging out with Drew. And he was like, oh, no, I must continue to hang out with him, and you can't stop me. I'm like, ooh, child. Gordo gonna have to get taken care of. He really is. Because Gordo gonna do what he gonna do. I said, wow. I don't even understand how Gordo could continue to see Drew romantically, knowing that he killed Drew's father. I'm like, wow, that's cold-blooded. That is really cold-blooded. But anyway, so let's get back. So they have the, she had, they all know that, the father died and all that. Drew goes ahead and plans this attack against the Russians because he's convinced. And he says something had to be done because folks were asking questions. Well, there's some conversations going around like, okay, no one's avenging Lorenzo's death. It's looking kind of shady. This was at the repass, or was it the pre-pass? Because they really wasn't. The repass happens after the funeral. This was before the funeral when they had all these folks at the house paying their respects. And the one guy that used to work with Lorenzo, he was there being disrespectful. He said the streets is talking and y'all not even looking into what happened to Lorenzo. That's kind of messed up and blah, blah, blah. Then he continued to be disrespectful toward Monet and stuff like that. And when Drew spoke with Monet about we gotta do something, and Monet was like, look, we don't have any proof that the Russians did that, so I'm gonna need you to stand down. But then after the funeral, when the Russians came up and they started shooting at the funeral, I said, oh my God, like then Monet sided with Drew to Kane and was like, well, Drew stood up, made a decision, and I support him. Like, you told Drew not to do anything, now you support him? Girl, get your ass together. Kane walked away. I believe that Kane is extremely suspicious of Monet. I think that when Kane was asking Monet about the questions that she was asking right before Lorenzo's death, he was reminding her of the line of questioning, and here come Monet with, well, I do know that Lorenzo lied about IG killing Zeke. And to me, it's like, okay, are you letting him know indirectly that you are familiar, or like you know what lies have been told and that you are aware that Cain knew that his father did that? I wasn't sure, but I think that's where they were going with that line of questioning. In addition to, here go Monet is going to give Cain a task, such as to invest, clean up this life insurance policy. Now, the policy's already clean money. It's clean. I mean, there's no need to do anything further. But I think she wanted to throw Cain off as well as give him something to do because, Monet had said that Kane needs to learn how to clean the money since that was Lorenzo's job. He's not there. You're going to have to learn how to clean money. We'll see how well that works out because Kane actually ends up meeting up with Braden about the money situation. And he also tells Braden about you need to get yourself back in good with Tariq. We need all four of us part of this business deal dealing with Norma. You're going to have to stand up to Tariq because you're letting Tariq punk you, which is true. Tariq earlier had already went and jumped on Braden at the Weston Holdings building. He beat Braden up, and Braden finally told him, he said, look, Effie knew about the wire. Kane knew about the wire. I think Effie's the one that told Kane about the wire, so I couldn't go through and do what I was supposed to do, but Effie came through and he's trying to give Tariq now trying to come clean with Tariq. Tariq is pissed. Tariq is like, this investigation in Lauren's death is now coming down on me because and then Braden said, well, what was I supposed to do with the information? He said, you could have told me what was going on because our arrangement was that you were going to drive Lauren to a certain spot and then give her some money and tell her to keep it moving. But instead, this is what happens, So again, more lies, more lies, more lies. But when well, before we get into, let me get to Effie. So Tariq decides to rent a car and take Effie to the very same spot that, Lauren was killed. She's supposed to have been drowned in this river. He was trying to get Effie to admit what she did to Lauren. He was as they were going to this place, he started opening up, being honest about what he did to his father, what happened with his sister and all of that, thinking that was going to get her to become more open about what she did with Lauren. Instead, Effie starts talking about a situation that happened with her stepfather or a person that ended up marrying her mom, the things that he was doing to her and all of that. And so Tariq was kind of like, oh, that's too bad. But, clearly Effie wasn't ready to open up about Lauren. And then when Effie started realizing where she was going, now she's nervous. And finally, they had to have the come to Jesus meeting. Tariq is asking her what happened, and Effie is sitting up there saying, this had to be done. And one thing that Effie made a point about was she told Tariq you wanted her to go away, disappear. Did you really think she was going to stay away permanently? This woman has a family. She wasn't going to stay gone. So yes, her life was in danger. And she wasn't going to remain gone, or leave or disappear or whatever like that. So I made sure that, that she doesn't reappear. At least that's what Lauren thinks. I mean, that's what Effie thinks. And Tariq was saying, I believed all your lies and everything because I loved you. Past tense. He had the ED on it. Then he made her he left, and I think he switched cars because he had all the intention. I think Tariq was getting ready to cancel Christmas on Miss Effie, in the words of Tommy. So yeah, later on, Tariq meets up. Like I said, he was trying to go to Weston Holdings and trying to get into the building. His ID was deactivated. Braden was like, you didn't, you locked us out the business, told us we couldn't even get into a building that's my family owns. Are you crazy? Because you upset about us not telling you about the Lauren situation. So like I said, I was glad that Braden finally stood up to Tariq. He utilized his power to get Tariq back in line. So Tariq had a conversation with Braden later on and was like, you know what? It's beyond my control. We're going to have to work together. Otherwise, we get killed. But we're going to have to figure out a way to get from under Norma. And we're going to have to work together on that. Do I think Braden and Tariq will become best of friends again? It's going to take a minute. Because Tariq is in his feelings right now. It's going to take a minute. I don't believe him and Effie is going to get back on the right page. So I think that's done. My prediction. We see Tariq visits Diana at her dorm, right? Diana's in there drinking. She got some folks in there, classmates all in there. They drinking and carrying on. They go out in the hallway and, Tariq and her have moments. They're talking and that talking leads to them sleeping together, right? Well, when the friends left out, Salim shows up. Now, earlier, Diana put Salim out the house. They were at I'm going to call it a pre-pass because it wasn't a repass, but right before the funeral, Salim's up at the house. Salim was calling Lorenzo out. He said, your father is was a criminal. Those folks downstairs are people who are not on the up and up with the law. And I'm looking at Salim like, dude, this is really not what you want to do in this man's house, calling him out like that. So Diana put him out. So I guess he called himself going to make up for it, bringing her some flowers and showing up at her dorm room. And the friends was like, look, she in there with someone else. They didn't say another guy. They said it was someone else. So he was like, oh, well, she would want to see me. And they were like, no, she in there with somebody else. And he was like, with a guy. And they just started laughing. So I guess I can't wait until Salim finds out it was Tariq. He gonna be a mess. Because Salim is giving me petty tease already. With that being said, Diana and Tariq sleep together yet again. And I'm wondering if Diana thinks that they're in a relationship because of that. I hope she doesn't. I hope she doesn't think that. The next morning, here comes Effie. Or later on that night, I'm not sure. But anyway, here comes Effie to the room. She's trying to convince Diana to work with her. She was like, I know what you were doing at the candy shop. She said, if I know it, other folks probably picked up on it and your spot's about to get blown up. And she's like, so I got something getting ready to get started. I need you to be on board and just don't tell Tariq. Diana just opens the door further. Tariq is sitting on the bed trying to get dressed. And he was like, hey, Effie, what's up? So, Effie was pissed. So Effie decides to go back to her room. And now she's going to try to blow up the app that she created for their current business. And Kane comes by. He's such an opportunist. Kane likes Effie. And he convinces Effie, say, look, you blowing up the application, destroying it, it gives all of us a hard time. We gonna end up being killed. So that's not a good idea. He said, but tell you what, I'm gonna help you out. I'm gonna slide you some product on the side. You can still do what you do on the low, and we can still finish our business with Norma. Do I predict these two will get together? I think they will. But we'll see. Okay. The whole thing with Jenny and Cooper Sacks, that situation is just a mess because neither one trusts the other. Sacks was like, look, he called out Jenny on all her stuff that he's aware of. And he was like, look, I want to get these folks legitimately and not with some underhanded mess. And he said, if we're not going to do that, I'm out. I don't want to continue being your CI and doing all this. And she was like, oh, well, that's cool. But you know what? If you don't, then I'm going to make it well-known fact about your situation, making sure about you going the truth and having a gun and all of that. So she blackmailed him. Okay. And so I don't know how Sax going to play it. One thing about this thing about Sax right now is I'm not sure how he's playing it. Like, is he going to continue to, I don't know. He's going to have to come clean to Davis about what's really going on. Because right now, Jenny got him. And he's in a bad situation. Now, Sax also made a deal with Tate about, helping Theo Rollins get out quickly. Tate was like, you got to run this smear campaign, get Davis to run a smear campaign against my opponent if I go ahead and do this thing with Theo Rollins. We'll see how that works out. Again, I don't predict that Theo Rollins is going to make it. I think, again, the day that his sentence gets commuted is the day he's going to pass away. That's my prediction. That probably won't happen until episode 8 or 9. All right. Sax also has a conversation with Lauren because Lauren had told Jenny, I'll agree to continue on with this whole investigation and all of that, but I need to speak to Sax first. And Sax lays the law down about what Tariq has been up to and why he's considered a monster. He said, okay, yeah, he might not have been involved with you being killed, but Tariq has done a lot of other things up at Stansfield, this and that and the third. So he lays it out. Some things he got wrong, especially when it came to what happened to Tariq's sister. Because he said, oh, because of Tariq's drug dealing, and that's why his sister got killed. No, that's not why his sister got killed. But the dirty cop was coming up to the school to see Tariq because the dirty cop was under the impression that Tariq is probably going to talk because Tariq was aware of what the cop was doing. Tariq had went to a couple of different break-ins. They were going in folks' house stealing stuff, and Tariq couldn't do it. Or I think the cop had killed somebody. The cop had assaulted somebody. It was a woman. I remember that. Now I remember. He assaulted this woman, and Tariq knew about it. And I guess he figured he needed to get rid of Tariq, or he was going to end up killing Tariq because Tariq, saw what happened. So anyway, and then when he went to the school to confront Tariq, he ended up running into Tariq's sister, Raina. And Raina was like, I already know what you're about. She called him out, and he ended up shooting her in the chest. But that's not what Sax was telling Lauren. Anyway, that's really the whole entire episode. At the end, we see, Monet's conscience is working on her because she sees Lorenzo's ghost, if you will, and he's telling her, he's like, look, I loved you no matter what, but I'm gonna tell you this: those kids are gonna figure out what happened, and when they do, they're gonna turn against you. Your days are numbered. That's basically what he told Monet. That was the episode. It was a little slow. I won't say this is my favorite episode. It was kind of slow, but we can see where the next level of storylines are coming in. We're going to see Salim's going to have it out for Tariq. That's building. Miss, what's her name? Diana getting caught on video. They have a camera on the rooftop, and Diana went up there to put her product in the, in the little thing there on the rooftop. So I don't know. They're probably going to force Diana's hand. And my question is, do you think she's going to go against her family? Do you think she's going to go against Tariq? We'll see how this works out. But that's my review. Talk to you guys later. Peace.